Hi and shalom. Welcome to today's message of the Shabbat message. It's for the Akot and for the Aki, the sister and the brother. Please, Akot, sister, don't be upset with the messenger, for these are things I've learnt and know myself had to deal with. This is also for the Aki, the brother. I'm thankful that Yahweh Yahushua helps me have blinkers at times. Occasionally I know Satan tries to lure me to this, and I have to change my thoughts quickly. What constitutes adultery? Matthew 5, 28, 27 and 28. Sorry, it should be 27 and 28. Ye have heard that it was said to the ancients, you shall not be committing adultery. Also seen in 2 Moshe 20:14. Now I say to you that everyone that looks upon another's wife and covets her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Those of the world live by the world and betray the world. To the Romans 1:24. Wherefore Yahweh also gave them up unto uncleanliness by the desires of their hearts, for their bodies to be depreciated by them. To the Galatas 5:16-25. Also I say, walk ye about by the Spirit, and indeed ye shall not fulfill the desires of the flesh. For the flesh desires that which is against the Spirit, and the Spirit desires that is against the flesh. And these things are opposed to one another, in order that ye will not do any of these things which ye may desire. But if you are led by a Spirit, you are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are rendered apparent, which are adultery, seen present in the Greek but not in the Peshitta Aramaic translation, fornication, uncleanliness, licentiousness, image worship, drug abuse, hostilities, quarrels, fantasism, anger, scheming, sex of desertion. Scheming just means intrigue, meaning the scheme, the plot, the self-seeking faction. The word is found in writings of Aristotle, where it denotes a self-seeking pursuit of political office by unfair means. Lexicons say the Greek word used here means electioning or intriguing for office, partnership, fractions. This refers to the apostasy which builds on different foundations for a greater number of converts. This intrigue is to become manifest in lie, who will incarnate and conquer the world for himself. Verse 21. Envy and murder and drunkenness, revellings, and things similar to these, that which I tell you beforehand, just as I had also said before, that those who practice such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh. But the fruit of the Spirit is affectionate love, happiness, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, fidelity, gentleness, and self-control. There is no law against such things. But those that are of the Anointed One hang their flesh on the gallows cross, together with their passions and the desires of it. If we are made to live by the Spirit, let us also follow the Spirit. 2 Keph 1:4. Through which acknowledgement he has given to us the great and precious promises, in order that through these you may become sharers of the nature of the power, as we have escaped from the corruption that is within the world by desiring what is forbidden. So I'd like to add a few notes here. For I'm not perfect, I have to battle against the flesh, and straightway I rebuke Satan and repent of no sin before I get a chance to lust or have bad thoughts. This is me personally. For you it may be different. This is for me personally. For this is the only weakness that Satan can try to use to distract me, is obviously is to try and distract me by a woman's body. If I ever claim to be perfect, never listen to me again. I'm so thankful I realise what's happening and turn from it. Going along the beach is so much worldly dress, and it's how I have to ride to work, unfortunately, but yeah, I see it every day. A man bestowing so much attention on a woman's legs is perhaps best understood as a kind of visual foreplay for them. Men contrast women's legs to their breasts and buttocks. In a vernacular, or commonly referred to as a T&A, in these comparisons, female gams and generally perceived as more suggestive, sensual and seductive, whereas T&A are viewed as much more in-your-face sexual. The word that probably best characterises such an allure is tantalising, or in some cases taunting. Note the words of this respondent: with clothing, legs can be both revealed and concealed, which makes them almost unequally empowered to allow men to tease and seduce men and inflame their imaginations. Why are men attracted to the women's legs? Armageddon online forum, I'll share a link below. A respondent obviously puzzled by this primarily erotic preference notes I love everything about the female body, however for some reason a sexy pair of legs is the first thing that grabs my attention. I've provided a link to see what this psychological report from forums has revealed, and there's the link you can go to at the end of this if you wish. The general teaching of old was that pants were not for ladies because they were ones that made women look like men, hence the 5 Moshe verse. But they weren't really pants, they're more but let's share down after this verse. But pants are more specifically for women now that you would never see a straight man or a man of faith ever wear. Like they made special cuts and you can see they're a woman, you know what I mean? They fit to a woman and they're not just like a men's pair of jeans. So 5 Moshe 22:5, that's where this ideology comes from. A woman does not wear that which pertains to a man, nor does a man put on a woman's garment. For whoever does this is an abomination to Yahweh your Elohim. In Roman society before 2000 BC, men and women both wore togas. After 200 BC, women began to wear stolas, and only prostitutes still wore togas like men. Before 200 BC, when men and women both wore togas, the only difference may have been a colourful belt or a colour of the material that would have separated a man from a woman. Even after 200 BC, peasant men and women still both wore tunics for their daily work. Only colour variations of belts may have separated them. So this would be exactly the same as men and women both wearing pants today. There is no issue with this as long as the women's pants communicate a feminine style as we understand in our culture. Then the need to be separated from the world, not being of the world, flaunting it is a key for those in the truth. 1 Yochanan 2:15-17. Do not affectionately love the world, nor the things within the world. If anyone might affectionately love the world, the affectionate love for the Father is not in him. Because all that which is within the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the boastings of the present state of existence, is not from the one of the Father, rather is from the one of the world. And the one of the world is passing away with his lusts, but the one doing the will of Yahweh dwells for the ages. 1 Timothy 2:7-15. Unto which I have appointed a herald and delegate, I speak the truth, I do not lie, to be an instructor of the heathen masses in the belief of the truth. Footnote 8 there, per the Aramaic translation, the Greek translations have here and. Therefore I wish the men in, verse 8 now, therefore I wish the men in every place to pray, raising up undefiled hands without wrath or debating. Now the reverence wife's behaviour, footnote here. This passage of sides being about our women is a prayer for the convocation of the anointed and uses spiritual symbolism to say how it should behave towards her husband. The anointed. It is interesting to note how today's apostate convocation has gone against every one of these precepts and is described spiritually as the great confusion, the Bavel Rabta in Declosure 17. Verse 9. In the same way also ask they pray for the wives to be in orderly long vestment, to adorn themselves with modesty and soundness of mind, not with fancy braids or gold or pearls or extreme expensive clothing, instead with that which is appropriate to wives, professing fear of Yahweh for good works. Let a wife learn in quietness in all subordination, and I do not allow a wife to instruct nor to assume authority over the husband, rather to be in peace. For Adam was formed first, then Shanoah. And Adam was not deceived, but the wife, having been deceived, has come to be in transgression. Seen in 1 Moshe 3:6 and 1:3-6. Footnote 13, which I missed there. But she shall be delivered by the hand of the seed she bore. To the Gladys, 1 Moshe 3:15, to the Gladys 4:4. If they stay in fidelity and affectionate love and purification, along with being of sound mind. Instruction for women. 1 Keph 3:1-13. Similarly, women are to be subject to your own husbands, in order that even if any are rebellious, unpersuaded to the word, they may be gained without words due to the behaviour of their women, having witnessed your clean behaviour, done within fear. Footnote 15 there. Phobos, which means come, phobia, remains the best translation of what includes reverence, respect, deference and awe. These are things which we are to feel for Yahweh, just as women for their husbands. Ephesians 5:22-33 and 1 Corinthians 11:3. If the husband is good and the woman is proper, fear won't be terror, like anxiety, fright, or apprehension, just as we would fear for Yahweh if we are rebellious and disobedient. Verse 3. Whose display of order, let it not be the outward one of elaborate braiding of hair, or of decorating oneself about with gold, or of dressing up in clothing. Instead, let it be the hidden decorations of the human heart, by the incorruptible display of order of the gentle and calm spirit, which is extremely precious in the sight of Yahweh. For thus also did the pure woman from before, those hoping on Yahweh, display order themselves, being subject to their own husbands. As Sarah attentively obeyed Abraham, calling him Aphani, my sovereign, in the scroll of Yasha 23:6 and 1 Moshe 18:12, of whom ye became daughters, doing good and not fearing not even one alarm. I thought it best, if I'm sharing instructions for wives, I'd better share the instructions for husbands. Those who are husbands similarly cohabiting according to the knowledge as with a more delicate implement, apportioning value to the women in that manner as with joint heirs of the favour of the eternal life, so that your prayers may not be disconnected. How to have a happy home in him. Verse 8. And the goal is for all to be of the same mind, sympathising, brotherly, loving, compassionate, humble-minded. So the goal is for all to be of same mind, sympathising, brotherly, loving, compassionate, and humbly minded. Not giving back evil for evil, or slander for slander, but on the contrary, blessings, understanding that you were called for this, in order that ye should inherit a blessing. Come, sons, listen to me. I will teach you the fear of Yahweh, who is the man, who wishes to love life and to see good days. Restrain your tongue for evil, and your lips from speaking deceit. Example 2 Moshe 23:13. Footnote 17 it is, and there's also footnote 16 here. A valuable lesson that is the beginning of wisdom, the fear of Yahweh, which is, I will teach you the fear of Yahweh. So, example 2 Moshe. And to all I said to you, you shall observe, and the name of other mighty ones shall not invoke. You shall not let it be heard on your lips. Verse 11 now. Deviate away from evil, and do goodness. Seek shalom, or peace, reconciliation, completeness, and pursue it. Songs 34:11-14. Because the eyes of Yahweh are towards the righteous one, and his ears are towards their calling for help. Songs 34:15. But the face of Yahweh is against ones doing evil, to cut off their memory from the earth. Songs 34:16. And verse 13. And who is he who shall injure you if you should be zealous of good? So I hope you enjoyed this little teaching for the Shabbat. I hope it's given you a blessing and something to think about, something to look further into. There is obviously some cross-references that I haven't shared here that feel free to do your own study. And may you be blessed. May you find shalom, peace, reconciliation and completeness. And until next time, bye.